Welcome to the Unleashed Life, a financial empowerment and lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Baker. After nearly 3 decades in corporate America, I took a leap of faith to pursue full-time entrepreneurship, realizing that while we can always get another title, we don't get another chance to create the life we truly desire. In each episode, we'll explore what it truly means to live unleashed, going beyond traditional finance advice to help you break free from financial constraints and societal expectations, cultivate a mindset of abundance and possibility, align your financial decisions with your personal values and lifestyle goals, and embrace authenticity in both your career and personal life. Whether you are seeking financial wisdom, entrepreneurial insights, or inspiration to live boldly, you're in the right place. Redefine success on your terms and join a community of women who refuse to dim their light. It is time to live the unleashed life. Welcome to the first episode of the Unleashed Life. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Baker, and I'm thrilled you are joining me on this journey of discovery and empowerment. Today, we're diving into what it truly means to live unleashed. It's a concept that's not just a catchy phrase, but I look at it as a transformative way of life that I've personally experienced and wanted to share it with all of you. So I figured the best way to start is with a powerful truth that guides this podcast. And that's God's Word. And God's Word is dynamic, and so must our response be. We're called to take His Word to heart and to apply it in our lives. But I often struggled with what that meant in practice, and how do I live that in my day-to-day experiences. So living life unleashed is really about unleashing each person, including you, to live a spirit-empowered, purposeful life. And it's about giving you the resources, encouragement, and opportunities to go through every moment of every day, knowing that you're connected to God and recognizing God's voice and how to respond to that with courageous faith. Imagine putting your head on the pillow at the end of the day or at the end of the year, knowing that you've been living the life that you have been designed to live. And that's what being unleashed is to me. It's not about perfection. It's about progress and alignment with your true purpose. Now, I want to share a little bit about my own journey of living unleashed. I was working in corporate for nearly 3 decades. And from the outside in, it looked like I had it all. I had a great job that I loved. I was making really good money, and I had the respect in my industry. And I was pretty happy, or at least I thought I was pretty happy. But deep down, I felt like I was just disconnected. And the reason that, this is called the Unleashed Life, because one day I was in a performance evaluation towards the end of my journey in corporate America. And I worked for this person who had said to me, despite the challenges of not being able to be unleashed, like, what would Renee Unleashed look like? And I took that as a call to action. Like, what would that look like? And I thought about it, but I didn't take action on it. I thought about it, and the review was very good, and I was happy, and it was very positive. But I felt there was something missing, and it was a void that no promotion or accolade could fill. And that's really important. It didn't matter if I wasn't searching for another title. It wasn't another award. It wasn't more money. It wasn't enough. And I know when I initially made the announcement to walk away, a lot of people was asking me, what's wrong? What's wrong? There was all these rumors about what was wrong, and it was nothing wrong. Like, how about I chose me? I just chose me. I needed to do this, not because of anything bad, but because I wanted to see what I was missing. I wanted to fulfill a very long purpose, and a lot of people probably didn't know, but I always had an entrepreneurial aspiration. And if you look at my career, most of the jobs I had, most of the positions I held were positions that were newly created, or they needed to build. I'm a builder, naturally. So it only made sense that before, if I decided to go back to corporate, I don't know, but the goal for me was to build and to create and to see what was possible. And if I could work hard for somebody else, then why wouldn't I at least attempt to work well or work for myself? So, going back to the year of 2023, there was a void that no promotion could fill. And then life threw me a curveball that changed everything. My sweet grandmother, who I call Mom, just the sweetest, most loving person, very kind, very kind, a pillar of strength and great wisdom. She passed away. And the day before she passed away, I would send her flowers each month, call to check on her. And, she was not a woman of a lot of words. Sometimes you would get her to talk, but she did ask in one of our last conversations when I was just going to go for it. And what do I want? What am I working towards? What am I doing? And as devastating as it was to lose her, I don't forget those last conversations. I don't forget that last conversation. To add to that, that pain, I had a great, wonderful mentor who I just respected so much, who always just had insight, who spoke very much like Shakespeare. Listening to him was like listening to poetry. But then he died about a week later. They both died in their sleep. And to me, they both died with dreams still unfulfilled. And I don't know about you, but death has a way of putting things into perspective. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but it was something that I had never experienced in this way. I've experienced loss before, but this time it was different. I had spoken to both of them right before they passed, not knowing that it was going to be our last conversation. I was already in this mindset of what's next. It wasn't enough, but nothing else was going to fill this void. And the finality of it hit me hard. It hit me hard. It hit me harder than anything that I had ever experienced before. And it made me confront a really hard truth. If I felt called to do more, then why didn't I? I love my work, but clearly I felt constrained, maybe a little scripted. I had no idea how to truly show up as my authentic self. Because it wasn't about showing up as your authentic self, it was about showing up as your best self. And although I was my best self, I questioned whether it was all of me. I'm not saying that what I said and did wasn't true, but when you're in corporate America for so long, at least for me, you learn to seek ways to assimilate. That's the only way I can explain it in this moment. You seek ways to assimilate. And I realized that I had been living within boundaries set by others. I had been living by the societal expectations of what success looked like. I was also trapped by my own fears. And there could be two truths. I could be successful, as I had defined success up until that point, and also not be fulfilled. And I had to really look at myself and think, was I truly living the life I was meant to live? And if I lay down at night and I close my eyes to never wake up, would I say that I used all of me? Was I doing the things that I really wanted to do? And that realization led me to a very bold decision to leave my corporate job. And the way that went was, it definitely was something I had been thinking about for quite some time. I had been preparing for it, and I've always prepared. I've always had side businesses. I always did side hustles, but I also had always prepared because I had watched so many people get laid off, and I never wanted to be personally in a position where if the company decided that I wasn't going to be there, that it would be devastating. I had that early in my career, I remember watching a woman get laid off, and the scream of, I never forget that scream of her hearing that news. She just let out this it hurt her, it gutted her, it felt like it gutted her. And I remember watching her walk out with this box, and she was just sobbing. Loved this woman, the kindest lady. And I said, I never want to feel that way. So that's a reason I just needed to put that in perspective, because that was something that I had always worked on, never knowing that I would actually do it. But I made this decision to leave my corporate job. People thought, like I said, that something was wrong. And let me just tell you something. When I made that decision, I felt so much peace with my decision. It was whatever happens, happens. And I kept hearing people say over and over again. I didn't tell everybody, but I remember telling one person, and they thought that it was like a bad idea. Like, why would you do that? You have everything. You have this great job. You have this wonderful company. Why are you doing that? And it wasn't about any of that. And I just decided that was a conversation between my husband and I. My husband was very supportive. He actually sat me down. Before I actually made the decision, he had sat me down and said to me that he thought it was time. So having his support meant a lot. And I just knew, they kept saying, entrepreneurship is hard. People kept saying, entrepreneurship is hard. And they're right. It is hard. It's hard. But here's the thing. So was working for someone else. That wasn't easy either. Life in general isn't always easy. We're going to face challenges regardless of our career paths. And the key is to choose your heart wisely. So yes, it's hard. And despite what you see on social media, yes, running a business is hard. It's full of constant no's. There's moments of failure. And I feel like everybody is watching and looking. Not everybody, but there's a group of people who are just looking and watching and just waiting, like, when is she gonna fall? When is she gonna fall? You're also worried about growth and winning new business. There were late nights, early mornings. I stopped drinking coffee, but in the beginning it was endless cups of coffee. I had no balance, which I also didn't have when I was in corporate, and I definitely had taken the time I worked all night. And I remember the day before the launch of the business, which I'll talk about in a later episode, I stayed up all night, just driven by just pure adrenaline of getting this company started. And yes, it's hard, but you know what? Here's the silver lining. Amidst all these challenges, there's so much potential for growth and success. And I always say the best is yet to come, because I believe that. I believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And this is not me being delusional, because I know that if I'm reaching for that light and I keep working towards it and I stay consistent, that it's going to take some time. Sure. It's going to take perseverance and a whole lot of grit. And I don't care what you see on social media. It's not easy, and everybody's not making six figures. But that journey is long and winding when it comes to success. Long and winding. And I have to remember that every setback is a setup for a comeback. And every failure brings me one step closer to success. And I've never been one to be afraid of failure. Now, am I going to actively seek it out? No. But I'm not afraid to fail. And I like to fail fast, get back up, and figure it out and move ahead. But I would never know anything if I never tried it. And I will share that looking back, I am such a different person. I have so much broader, clearer perspective than I did a year ago. I was saying to one of my friends, man, if I knew this, what I know now, then, oh my goodness. But I know now. And like I said, every no brings you closer to that one yes that will change everything. And I'll share more about, those early days of entrepreneurship. But it's been a growth journey. I've also had just not focused just on the business, on myself. I have had a lot of growth. I never slept. I used to sleep like 4 hours a day. So I traded that for better sleep. My mornings include, working out and having a better schedule. And those coffees that I was drinking, lots of coffee, I just replaced it with water. And I also learned that in my pursuit of wealth, that health is truly wealth. And you also don't have to necessarily burn out to win. But I want to make an important point here. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, and that is okay. This podcast, The Unleashed Life, isn't just about entrepreneurship. There's a lot of talk about wealth. I spent my entire career in financial services. I know how being financially empowered gave me the freedom to at least give it a go, to try it, to see what was possible. And it also gave me the freedom. I love community. My biggest flex is helping someone else. It doesn't need to be loud, but I just love people. I will always say I am a people person. I am more relational than transactional. It is people first, people always. I love people, and I mean that. So what it also gave me the opportunity to do is to really just pour back into my community. I was serving on several boards in my corporate job, and I didn't stop when I chose entrepreneurship. I have to be a little bit more intentional about the organizations and the time that I put into it. So I had to make some changes, but I love community. It is a big part of everything that I do, and I will continue to do that. So when I talk about aligning your life with your values and purpose, wherever you are, that's an example of what I mean. And Living Unleashed is also about breaking free from the constraints that are holding you back. Sometimes those constraints are financial. Sometimes they're, I don't have enough money. Sometimes they're societal, what the world expects of us. We seem to want to assimilate to what other people's expectations are of us, as if they're living our life, as if, in 100 years from now, none of this is going to matter. And the one thing that I remember is, as I was sitting in my sorrow and in my grief at the loss of two very important people in my life, and within a week, the world kept going. The world kept going. People still had things to do. It was somebody else's best day of their life. It was one of the worst of mine, but it was the best day of somebody's life. And I realized that life keeps going. So why are you listening to what other people have expectations for you when life is going to keep going? What do you want for yourself? Keep the commitment to yourself. And there were those self-imposed limitations. If I leave this job, I'll never be able to get a job. I'm not saying that if I decided to go back to corporate, I'm not even saying that I am going to go back to corporate. But what I'm saying is, I couldn't let the self-imposed limitations of being afraid to fail, or being afraid of, I will never, because I don't know, but I will never. I couldn't allow those self-imposed limitations to stop me and hold me back from this one precious life. So it's also about cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility, even in the face of challenges. And when it comes to faith, I trust God. I've never seen him. I felt the presence of God, but I have faith. I have unshakable faith. So if that's not your thing, that's okay, but that is mine, and I will talk about that, and my guests will likely talk about it too. But I think that's just so critically important. And Living Life Unleashed is also about aligning your financial decisions, like I said, with your personal values and your financial goals. And money is a tool. And when it's used wisely, it can help you create the life you truly desire. And we'll talk a lot about that, as well as embracing authenticity in your career and your personal life and showing up as your best and true self, utilizing your unique gifts and talents to make a difference in this world. And an example of that is early in my career, I remember, well, maybe it was mid-career, I remember having to give a presentation. And this presentation was to some senior leaders. And my manager at the time had basically scripted me and told me what to say. Really just told me what to say. And it wasn't, I said, well, I wouldn't say it that way. And to me, it wasn't about not presenting the proper and correct information. It was like, why would I say it like you? And then she said to me, no, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. So I did. It didn't feel authentic to me. I'm sure I presented horribly, which you would if you're just speaking in someone else's voice as yourself. And then this person called me back into the office and told me that I was a horrible public speaker. And I said, is it that I'm horrible, or that I did what you would have done versus being able to speak in my voice? I'm not saying I didn't need help in cultivating my speaking skills, but it was a lesson for me that I cannot allow I can't speak somebody else's voice. I couldn't. So that was another lesson I'll be sharing. So many. I have journaled most of my career and quite a few stories, but we'll stay mostly positive. But here's the thing. We have to be able to show up as ourselves, use our unique gifts and the talents that we have to make a difference in this world. We can't do it living somebody else's truth. We just can't. So as we journey together through this podcast, we'll explore all these different aspects of living unleashed. We'll explore practical strategies for financial empowerment, because like I said, I think money is a tool, and financial freedom gives us a little bit more comfortability, I would say, with being empowered and being bold. It's about personal growth and purpose, and living life with purpose, on purpose. We're going to talk about the hard stuff like grief and setbacks and failures, because living life unleashed doesn't mean that we avoid difficulties. It means that we have the courage and resilience to know that we're not alone and we can try again. So this is about flaws and all. It's not for me to project this ideal life of being perfect. I'm not. I'm still growing and learning, but I've learned a lot. I have a lot of experience. I am who I say that I am. And I used to always feel that I was the only person going through this. So I try to be the person that I needed, that I didn't have. So I want anybody that's listening to know that you're not alone wherever you are in your own journey. So as we wrap up this first episode, I want to leave you with a powerful thought. Living life unleashed is also about taking time for yourself and self-care. And rest is so important. So we must remember that there's so much power in being rest and self-care. And it's not about a constant hustle. It's about strategic action and being balanced to the extent that you can be balanced, because you are no good for somebody else when you aren't taking care of yourself. And I will weave self-care into these conversations as well, because as I said earlier, health is wealth, and I've been on a journey when it comes to health, and I know how it feels to not be able to operate at your best self. So we'll dive into all these topics in future episodes. We'll explore how to break free from these financial constraints, how to cultivate a mindset of abundance, how to align your actions with your faith and your values. So I invite you to keep on listening and join me on this journey. We're just getting started, and the best is yet to come. Subscribe to my monthly newsletter, which includes some exclusive content and insights that I'll be sharing as I'm on my journey of being unleashed. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to hear what are your unleashed moments by following us on social media, and share what is making your journey impactful and powerful. Where are you feeling stuck? It's never too late to rewrite your story and to step in your power. And I will always remind people of that. It's not too late. We get so caught up, and it's also okay to pivot, and you can change your mind. So whether you're starting out in your career, considering a major life change, or just seeking more purpose and fulfillment, you do have the power to live unleashed. So thank you. Thank you so much for getting through this first episode with me, of the first episode of the Unleashed Life. I am doing it scared, but I'm doing it because this is a journey, and you're watching this in real time. So until next time, keep growing, keep shining, and keep living life unleashed. I truly, truly believe the best is yet to come. Thank you for joining us on the Unleashed Life. I hope today's episode has inspired you to break free from financial constraints and societal expectations, cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility. Remember, living unleashed means aligning your financial decisions with your personal values and embracing authenticity in both your career and personal life. It's about progress, not perfection, as we journey towards financial empowerment and the lifestyle we truly deserve. If you found today's episode to be of value, please take a moment to rate and review this podcast. Your support helps us reach more women ready to unleash their potential. And don't miss out on exclusive content and insights by signing up for our monthly newsletter at reneebaker.com. It's packed with actionable tips to help you continue your unleashed journey between episodes. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and join our vibrant online community to share your own unleashed moments and connect with like-minded individuals. Until next time, keep breaking barriers, embrace your beautiful, authentic self, and live life unleashed. Remember, it's never too late to rewrite your financial story and step into your power with purpose. As always, be great, and the best is yet to come.